By the time my mother stood in a crowded church basement and told a room full of strangers that online gaming had turned me into a liar, I was already holding the paper that would make her stop talking. But that humiliation began weeks earlier, with a burnt grilled cheese, a half-finished chemistry worksheet, and the soft click of my console dying in the middle of a ranked match. I'm Zara. I'm 21. I work at a grocery store bakery in Ohio, and that spring gaming was the only place in my life that still felt clean. Home was slammed drawers, long silences, and my mother turning every disagreement into a sermon where she was the hero and I was the daughter she had to rescue from herself. It started on a Thursday night. I had just gotten home from work and joined my squad for a qualifier run. It was not huge, but there was prize money, and for me that mattered. I had textbooks to pay for, gas to buy, and a brake light that had been cracked for a month. I had one hand on my controller when my mother called from the kitchen. "You left the casserole dish. I'll wash it after this match." She appeared in the doorway. That's what addicts say. "Mom, it's one match." She walked past me, opened the hallway panel, and shut off the breaker for my room. My screen went black. My headset filled with static, then silence. I sat there staring at my reflection in the dead monitor while I heard her in the kitchen, stirring soup like nothing had happened. I went in and said, "You just threw my whole team." She did not even look up. "Dinner was at 6. There was money on this. Then maybe you should stop gambling on toys." That was the first strike. She did not cut the internet. She went for my space, my access, my control. And she did it with that gentle voice that made me sound unreasonable the moment I answered in anger. The next morning my console was gone. I found her on the porch clipping dead leaves from her fern. "Where is it?" She kept clipping. "Where is what?" "My console." "Safe. You can't just take my stuff." "I can. You live in my house. You have been acting like a zombie and your grades dipped last term." I wanted to remind her that I had paid for that console myself. Sunrise shifts, holiday rushes, extra hours. But money from me never counted in our house. "I need it back by Saturday," I said. Her shears stopped. "Need? For a tournament." "There it is." She pointed at me. That attitude, like a game matters more than your future. "My future is school and work. This is the one thing I do for myself." She went back to her plant. "Then maybe it's healthy for you to lose it." By Saturday, she had told my aunt that I was spiraling. My cousin texted to ask if I was okay. 2 women from church sent me messages about balance and discipline. She was not only taking my console, she was building a version of me and handing it to other people before I could speak. I spent the weekend trying not to think about my squad replacing me for the qualifier. At work, I iced cakes while imagining my console sitting in some closet like evidence from a crime scene. On Monday, I came home early because the mixer at work broke. The house was empty. On the dining table sat one of my mother's notes in blue pen. "Laundry and dryer, chicken and fridge. Think about what kind of woman you want to be." No signature. She loved notes that sounded like God had written them. I opened the hall closet for hangers and found my console on the top shelf beside winter blankets, not hidden well, just placed high enough to remind me who controlled access. I took it down and carried it straight to my car. That was how my secret routine began. After closing shifts, I stayed at the bakery. My manager, Noelle, let me plug my console into the break room television after hours if I finished cleaning and locked the back door. For 5 nights, that became my world. Work close, practice, drive home smelling like sugar and bleach, sleep a few hours, repeat. Then my mother found a new angle. One afternoon, Noelle called me into the office. "There's a woman on the phone asking if you stay here late to play games." My stomach dropped. "My mother called my job?" Noelle nodded. "She says she's worried you're using company property and sneaking around at night." The shame of that felt physical. Noelle said, "I told her your shifts are your business and what happens after close is between you and me if the work is done. But you should know she's making calls." Home had spilled into work. That was the moment the whole thing changed shape for me. I drove home without practicing and found my mother slicing strawberries at the kitchen island. "You called my manager." She placed another berry in a bowl. I asked a question. "You had no right." "I have every right if my daughter is lying about where she is at night. I was working." "And after?" I looked at her. "You don't want me safe. You want me supervised." That landed. She set the knife down too gently. "I want you to stop embarrassing me," she said. I laughed once. "Embarrassing you?" "At church. With family. Everywhere." Her voice sharpened. "Everyone else's daughters are moving forward. Nursing school, internships, engagement photos, and mine is sneaking around parking lots to play war games." There it was. Not concern, not health. Image. After that, I stopped arguing. I washed my dishes. I answered questions in flat little sentences. Calm compliance. That was my first quiet revenge. I also got smarter. I moved my console from my car to a locked cubby at work. I borrowed a portable monitor from my teammate Rue. Twice a week, I practiced from her apartment above a laundromat. For a few days, I thought I had balanced it. Home stayed cold, but quiet. Work felt safe. My team believed I would make the rescheduled qualifier. Then Friday night happened. I walked in after my shift and found my aunt, my cousin, and 2 women from church, sitting in our living room with coffee cake on paper plates. My mother had arranged them in a neat half circle facing the couch. Every lamp was on, the television was off. Everyone looked up together when I came in with flour still on my sleeve. My aunt gave me a sad smile. Honey, my mother stood. Sit down, we need to talk. Shock makes you obedient in humiliating ways. I sat. One of the churchwomen folded her hands. Your mother says you've become secretive. My cousin would not meet my eyes. My mother took the armchair across from me like she was hosting a panel. She's been hiding electronics, sneaking out at night, and lying about school. I am not lying about school. She kept going as if I had not spoken. I found messages with strangers online. She meant my team, my friends. Then she reached to the side table and picked up my planner, the one where I tracked shifts, class deadlines, scrims, and bills. She has pages coded with symbols, my mother told them. Practice, bracket, scrim. It looks obsessive. I stared at the planner in her hand, and something inside me went cold instead of hot, because tucked into the back pocket of that planner was something she clearly had not noticed. A printed acceptance letter. A paid summer internship in Chicago with an esports production company. Not as a player. Event operations. Broadcast support. Real credits. Real pay. Real work. Something I had earned because I understood the world she mocked. I had not shown anyone yet because I wanted the right moment. She had just brought it into the room for me. The voices around me blurred. Concern. Boundaries. Structure. Accountability. My mother nodded through all of it, collecting sympathy. Then my aunt said, maybe she needs people checking in on her every week. My mother sighed softly. I'm just trying to save her from ruining her future. That was when I realized two things. She did not know about the letter, and she had already lied enough that any correction from me would sound childish unless I used the right truth in the right place with the right witness. So I lowered my eyes and said quietly, you're right, I have been hiding things. The room softened instantly. My mother leaned forward, triumphant. Then we can finally have honesty. Yes, I said, but I think honesty should happen where everyone can hear it, since this has become a public concern. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? I glanced toward the fridge where the church calendar was pinned with magnets. It means I'll come tomorrow night, I said. My aunt blinked. Come where? To the volunteer dinner. Mom said people are worried. It'll be easier if I explain myself once. My mother studied my face for a trap, but all I gave her was calm. She relaxed back into her chair. Good, that's mature. I nodded. Then we'll do it your way. That night I barely slept. Every small humiliation of the last few years lined up in my mind. The times she read my private notes. The times she turned her embarrassment into my flaw. At almost 2 a.m, I drove to the bakery parking lot and sat under the broken security light with my folder open on the passenger seat. The internship letter, the email thread from the coordinator, the summer schedule, and the best piece of all, the voicemail transcript Noelle had helped me get from corporate. My mother's voice, soft and false, suggesting I might be using company electricity without permission and behaving inappropriately online after hours, polished enough to sound harmless, damaging enough to put my job at risk if the wrong manager had answered. When I walked into the church basement the next evening, it smelled like baked ziti and lemon cleaner. My mother stood by the coffee urn in her navy cardigan, laughing softly with the same women who had sat in my living room. She saw me, and for one bright second her face held victory. She thought she had brought me there to confess. She had no idea I came to collect. I kept my coat on even though the room was warm. It made me feel armored. People balanced paper plates and plastic forks, laughing in that careful church way that always sounded half sincere and half performative. My mother moved through them like she belonged to every conversation. When the volunteer coordinator tapped a spoon against a glass and thanked everyone for coming, I almost lost my nerve. Then my mother looked straight at me and gave the smallest encouraging nod, as if she were allowing me a chance to be forgiven in public. That settled it. After the prayer, before people could fully break into side conversations, I stood. My chair scraped hard enough to turn heads. I need to say something, I said. The coordinator blinked. Of course. My mother's smile froze. Zara. No, it's okay. A lot of people here were told they need to worry about me, so I should clear that up myself. My mother set down her coffee cup. This is not the time. You made it the time yesterday. I pulled the folded voicemail transcript from my coat pocket first, not the internship letter. My manager helped me document a call someone made to my workplace. I said, a call suggesting I might be misusing company property and behaving irresponsibly after hours. Noelle was there because I had texted her that afternoon. She stood near the dessert table in her work hoodie, arms crossed. My mother's cheeks lost color. I looked at the coordinator. I know this dinner is not meant for drama, but my private life was already turned into a group discussion in my own living room, so I brought proof. Then I handed the transcript to the coordinator. She read the first lines, then looked up at my mother. My mother gave a breathy laugh. That could be anyone. Noelle stepped forward. It was your number. Corporate confirmed it. Silence rolled across the room. My aunt stared at my mother. You called her work? It was concern, my mother snapped. I was protecting my daughter. From what? I asked. From finishing a shift? From paying her own bills? My cousin finally looked at me. You pay bills? Yes. My phone, my gas, part of the groceries when I get extra hours. The console she confiscated? I bought that too. My mother's mouth tightened. That does not change the fact that you've been sneaking around to play games. So I gave them the deeper truth. I have been sneaking around because every time I tried to enjoy something you did not respect. You punished me. You killed the breaker in my room during a match. You took property you did not buy. You brought church people into my private life. You called my job. My mother crossed her arms. You are leaving out your obsession. That was when I finally took out the letter. I wasn't hiding a problem, I said. I was hiding this. I handed it to the coordinator too. She read the header, then blinked. This is an internship offer. I nodded. With a production company in Chicago. My aunt leaned over. Paid? The coordinator looked lower on the page. Yes, paid. The room changed in a way I could feel. Not pity. Recalculation. My mother made a small dismissive motion. An internet thing. No. A job. Housing stipend. Travel covered. Event operations. Broadcast support. The same gaming world you told people was ruining my future just offered to help build it. My mother laughed, but it came out thin. So this is what this is? You want applause because strangers online offered you some fake career path? I met her eyes. No. I want you to stop telling people I'm broken when what you really mean is I chose something you can't control. The coordinator lowered the letter. Did you know about this, Elaine? She should have discussed it with me first. My aunt asked the question I had been waiting for. Did you really hold that prayer circle yesterday before you even knew what she was hiding? No answer came. My mother looked around and realized too late that her audience had become witnesses. She straightened her shoulders. I did what any mother would do. No, I said quietly. You did what you always do. You made me small in public so you could feel big in private. Nobody moved. Nobody rushed to comfort her. And because the moment had finally come, I gave them the piece she could not twist. I also signed a lease this morning. Her head snapped toward me. What? I pulled the key envelope from my coat pocket. I've been saving for months. Rue's cousin needed a roommate. It's a small place over a print shop, but it's mine. My mother's face went blank. You cannot afford to leave. I can. You are being dramatic. No, I'm being done. My mother tried one last tactic. After all I sacrificed, after everything your father left me to handle alone, there it was, the guilt blade she had sharpened for years. But it did not go in this time. You did handle a lot alone, I said. I know that, but I am not your unfinished grief. I am not the place where you store your anger. The coordinator quietly set both papers on the table. Then Noelle lifted her chin toward me. And because the cliff had arrived and I was standing on it anyway, I let myself say the only thing I would ever ask from an audience. If you have ever had to build a future while someone kept calling it a mistake, stay with me. Support matters more than people admit. And sometimes the only reason a person makes it out is because one voice believed them before the crowd did. Share that kind of loyalty when you can. Alright, now let me take you back. I did not mean back in time. I meant back into myself. Back to the girl who used to lower her voice at home so every room felt less dangerous. Standing in that basement, I understood peace and silence were not the same thing. My mother reached for the internship letter. The coordinator moved it away first. I think we should all give this family some privacy, she said gently. The irony almost made me smile. People began to shift, but not toward my mother, toward me. My aunt touched my shoulder and whispered, I didn't know. My cousin said, I'm sorry. One of the church women murmured that calling my workplace had been out of line. My mother saw it happen in real time, sympathy leaving her body like heat. She picked up her purse. Come home, she said to me. No, we are not doing this here. We already did it here. Zara. I shook my head. I'm not coming back tonight. Her voice hardened. Then don't bother if you think you can disrespect me in public and still live under my roof. There was the line she thought would scare me. It only helped. I touched the key envelope inside my coat. I already moved the important things. I left before she could build another scene around herself. Outside, the air smelled like cold pavement and fryer oil from the diner across the road. Noelle walked me to my car. You good? She asked. I laughed once, shaky and real. No, yes, maybe. She hugged me hard enough to crack something open in my chest. I drove straight home, not to stay, but to finish. The house was dark except for the stove light. My mother's car was not there yet. I moved quickly. Clothes, laptop, textbooks, the shoebox where I kept cash tips. Then I unscrewed the small shelf above my desk and took the hidden envelope taped beneath it. Emergency money. My real quiet revenge had started long before either of us admitted we were at war. As I carried the last box out, headlights swept across the driveway. My mother got out of the car and stopped dead. You are really leaving? Yes. This is because of tonight? No. Tonight is just the first time you couldn't narrate it for me. She came closer, arms wrapped around herself against the cold. You will regret making your life harder. Maybe, but at least it'll be my life. She looked at the box in my hands. And the game was worth this? I thought about the dead monitor, the church circle, the job call, the letter, the key. It was never only the game. I put the box in the trunk and closed it. Rue was waiting at the apartment over the print shop in mismatched socks, holding two 2 mugs of instant cocoa. I set my boxes down and finally cried. Not dramatic crying, just the exhausted kind that comes when your body realizes the emergency has changed shape. The weeks after that were not magically easy. My mother sent long texts that swung between guilt, fury, prayer hands, and practical questions about insurance. I answered only what mattered. At work, Noelle moved me to more daytime shifts before Chicago. My aunt started calling me directly instead of through my mother. Even the church coordinator emailed to congratulate me on the internship. The strangest part was the quiet. No one cut breakers in my new place. No one timed my showers or counted my hours or listened outside my door. A few weeks later, the qualifier I thought I had lost for good came back around through an open slot on another bracket. I played from Rue's kitchen table with the old portable monitor humming beside the toaster. We won. Not life-changing money, just enough to cover my train ticket deposit. When my internship paperwork was finalized, I printed 2 copies. One went into my folder. The other I mailed to my mother with no note. Not cruelty, proof. A month later, she sent one line back. I did not understand what you were building. It was not an apology, but it was the first honest sentence she had ever given me. By the time I boarded the train to Chicago, the key from the old envelope was on my ring beside the new apartment key, and a tiny pixel heart Rue had clipped there for luck. I watched my town slide backward through the glass and felt something I had never felt living under my mother's roof. Not victory. Ownership. And that paper I was holding in the church basement, the one that finally made her stop talking, did more than shut down a lie. It gave me the cleanest thing a daughter like me can ever get. My own voice returned to me in public, where she could no longer take it away.